What's going on, everyone? Vampyr Gaming here, and today we're going to talk about EB02 format, which is coming up. The release is May 9th, I believe. May 9th. It was pushed back, and I believe it should be May 9th. So within the next 2 weeks here, and the only real change, so we do get an addition of a chopper for Zoro, which is impactful. And then we also have the addition, of course, of the green-purple Luffy and the full suite of support that he gets. We do also get the Zoro green card, which is overall really solid. I don't think it really changes anything. It's really good in the one deck, but a couple of things. We also do get the new Vegapunk, which makes him a little bit more resourceful and toolboxy and able to fetch what he's looking for on demand. So we're going to go ahead and fill this out. But before we do that, go ahead and hit that subscribe button for me. But we'll talk about green, purple, Luffy, and how I feel about it. So we first off have Odin, okay? And truthfully, so Odin actually saw a little bit of success in this format. If you're familiar, he saw, again, a little bit, small baby bit, but it was there because green-purple Luffy gate-kept a lot of decks, and green-purple Luffy is a 6K leader. Well, so is Odin in essence, and so it really created a unique opportunity for the deck to thrive. The deck did also get the addition of the Monkey D. Luffy, which really comes up. No new additions in the EB, but I think the way that it kind of like gatekeeps. Oh, it does get. There is a Yamato Rusher. There is a Yamato Rusher. So I think I'm going to put him at 1.5. Maybe it's a little too high, but I think Karar, looking at you, Captain Skis, if you're familiar, I think he can go to distance here. I'm going to put good old Warden here at tier 3 Hannibal. I don't love... this deck has so much potential. I just think, he's just gotten the bad end of the stick here in terms of support. I feel like just 1 to 2 cards can really change the dynamic of this card as a whole. But it is what it is. All right, now here's Kyros, okay? I'm going to put Kyros at 2. I'm going to put Kyros at 2 because I really like Kyros. I think Kyros got a lot worse with the recent bans of Gecko Moria and all of those. But at the same time, with less competition his way, he's like, if you really want to think about it, he's like Lucci, but instead if Lucci could just KO characters. Because he just KOs for free. Lucci minus is for free. He KOs for free. You do have to flip up your life. But I think this leader is so underrated overall. And with Koala having the Dressrosa tag, I'm really hoping we'll see just a little bit more support because the yellow side overall is pretty neglected. We've only seen black and blue in terms of support here, so like yellow would be great. And if we could see something from Koala, since she is black and yellow, I think this leader has some opportunity. But here I think he's tier 2, arguably like tier 3. I don't think he's super good. Now the real question is, does Luffy belong here? We'll tackle this first, right? I think this is like the big value. I don't want you all to have to wait to like the end. As long as you hit that subscribe button, we're cool. So this, of course, gets to play Gum Gum Giant. And if you've played against this deck, it also gets to go incredibly wide, incredibly fast. And the moment that they play 2 Sanji Pudding, they essentially get 1 free body in addition to their play every turn. And then they're playing like the Luffy. It's just like, it is like the best red deck overall. And then it has like cards like the Zoro that can rest characters. And then you have Usohachi, so you can like get rid of blockers easily and things like that. So it really dominates in the meta when it comes out. There was a decent amount of variety at the same time, which is why it is so hard to really, like, I want to say it's tier 0. I want to. It's really powerful when you feel it, but like I think, and it's crazy to say, but I think Lucci's actually well positioned to be good against him, even with the bans. Like, you playing your Sanji Pudding sticking is the big card, but every card you play is low cost. This deck goes incredibly wide and low cost. The most expensive cost typically is a 6 cost. So Lucci could have a huge opportunity there, and I know it's a lot of conversation happening in terms of what does this look like. Like, you don't have Doflamingo either, and Dofi was like a really powerful deck, but of course 6k leader is better than a 5k leader against a leader that swings 7, and so Dofi can't go as wide. So it's almost like, to me, like a new Dofi. I'm gonna say it's tier 0, and I really don't want to, but I think it's just a step above tier 1. I think it's just a step above tier 1. It is the most consistent deck you're going to be playing when you're at the sea. Pirates, they're going to play Bogwell Ramp. They're going to play just a hodgepodge of things. They're going to have Gum Giant. So many different cards. They also have the Going Merry, and the Going Merry allows you to increase cost, which does make it harder for Lucci just to answer these in general. So I think, and I would almost even call it like tier 0.5, like, because I think it's like almost there, and I think it dominates the format, but I think it has, like, I think there is a bad matchup. Like, a matchup can be tailored to make it bad, and that's why I'm going to put it at tier 0.5, because I think it's just a step above the rest. Bar for bar, I think is a step above the rest. The Rusher Luffy, that card hits like a brick train. They play it, they hit you twice. They play it, they swing, then they use leader ability -2, restand 2, -2 of those actives, and they swing and they get like all of it back with Sanji Puddings, and you're just like, what just happened? Things like that. And then, like, they just have the best draw head engine. It's an incredibly consistent deck. You're going to draw one from stage. You're going to search. You're going to have your Zoro Searcher. You're going to have your, when you're at the sea, you fight pirates, those. So, 0.5. Zoro, I think Zoro's tier 1. I think 6 life leader, 4 life leader, I think that aggro aspect gets slightly rewarded in that regard. I would almost say he's like a 1.5. 1. I think he's the low end of 1.5. Just because I think, like, being able to go super wide and those bodies and that new chopper helps just a bit. So I think 1.5. I think 1.5, but I think he's the top end of that. And then we've got Law. I really think that this leader is just good. I'm putting him at 1.5, but I think he's probably 2. But I think he's like the bottom of this. I think this is like the top of this. I think this is like the bottom of it. Because when Red Green Law resolves and does what he wants to do, this leader is incredibly aggressive. You have similar thing here. You're going to pay to bounce, play, restand Law, and restand your character. So he's essentially got like that rush in the same aspect as this and things like that. And like Law players, like the Law combos are just so insane, and the lines on this deck can be just out of this world. I don't think it gets anything from this set, but I think this leader, like, as long like the only thing that really holds back this leader is Lucci. Like, and the fact that there's still a lot of Lucci. But I think this deck has really good matchups to a lot of different things. Red, green, Luffy. I wish this leader was good. I don't think he's bad, but I think like the problem is everything else is just too good. I think he's just slightly overtuned, so I'm going to put him at YouTube bait. Same thing here with Odin. I think Odin's just more of a legacy leader kind of guy. I think he's just not as good. I'm also going to put Doflamingo here at 1.5, which is crazy to me. I think, though, that like Dofi right now is 100% tier 1 in the format that we're in now, in OP10, but come EB02, I think he gets just a little bit less good because this deck's going to go wide. This deck's going to go just way better than Dofi, and he's going to be a 6K. So Dofi can't go wide with Jinbei, and then this leader's going to be a 6K. So I think, you know what? I'll still put him at tier 1. I'll put Dofi at tier 1, but I think we're not going to see him as much as we have before. But I think he's better than all of these, but I think, like, without that Jinbei aspect, it allows him to go wide and put pressure on green-purple Luffy, which we're going to see a lot more of. So I think he's just not as good, but I think his matchups still stay the same outside of that. So I think it's just really him. Blurple Kaido, Blurple Croc. Sorry, guys. I'm sorry. They're just like, I wish these guys... This card, Blue-Purple Croc, Blue-Purple Kaido has the biggest ceiling, in my opinion, for something to be good, because you have Onigashima, but then you also have the removal of blue. I just need something to bring it all together. King is not good. I'm sorry. Whitebeard. You fight a 6 life 4 leader with a 6 life 6 leader. I'm going to put Whitebeard at 1.5. Whitebeard actually, again, kind of resurged just a little bit in Japan in the most recent formats. So I think there is the argument here for him. I'm not, like, incredibly adamant on this. Again, I think he's, like, lower end. Like, this is, like, lowest and then, like, Newgate in terms of that. Because, like, I know Jonathan Chow's been seeing, like, a decent amount of results. Like, this kind of, I think, hurts Dofi just because Gofi doesn't have Jinbei to go bar for bar and, like, them going wide. It does have Pudding. Pudding is incredibly powerful against green-purple. That is my favorite card when I'm playing purple-blue Luffy. And my favorite card is Pudding, because, like, just hitting with a Pudding hurts, because they just have so much. Every card can, like, replace itself and generate value. So you have Pudding, so I think that's still, like, correct. But potentially, I mean, Newgate's still just, I think we all just are focused on playing these, and nobody wants to, like, dabble into these, and because of that, like, they might be oversought, but I think that they're still incredibly powerful. I'm gonna go boop tier 3 with Garp. I'll put Garp at tier 2. This is crazy to me, but somebody did see some success with Garp at several points. I don't know if he's super relevant here, but he does have the best minus mechanic. Kinemon, I'll put Kinemon to tier 3. That extra 2 Don's cool. Same thing here with this Sanji. I was such a fan of this Sanji when they released him. And I even took it to my locals one time. There's a couple of videos on here as well. So, very cool overall, but I don't think he just has, like, it's just vanillas, and other decks play vanillas better at this point. Ivankov, tier 3. Magellan, tier 3. Magellan is, you know, again, like, these just need more support. We see Revolutionary Army, but they come in every color that isn't blue. We did get a boost on Ivankov on EB01, but we haven't since then. And then Z, I'm going to put Z here, too. I think Z actually has a lot of potential. I'll put Z up here. I think all these leaders have something in common. They all have something that involves, like, cost to some degree, and are relatively, overall, pretty decent. And then I have Smoker. I'm going to put Smoker like 1.5. Arguably 1. I think he's slightly better. I'll put Smoker at 1, actually, which is crazy to me. But with the rise of green-purple, Toshigi has a lot of value. Toshigi is going to enable you to trash a lot of cards. And the cost. Like, the cost, if they don't have stage Sanji Pudding, you're going to instantly Toshigi it. I think in that merit, it's a bit better. Again, I'm thinking 1.5, but I'm going to go ahead and say tier 1 because I think we're going to see a lot more of this, which is going to lead him to rising up and being just a little bit better. Ace, I'll put Ace at tier 2, but I'll put him at the top of tier 2. I think Ace doesn't have any new tool cards, which I think is the biggest thing holding him back. But I think he has, like, potential because he's always had a good Dofi matchup. The only problem is, like, Blackbeard now. And I think, like, everything else, I think it's okay. I don't think it's bad. And every time I'm like, you know, like, I wish I was, like, cross AI and I could just travel places and play a silly deck because I got it like that. So be sure to hit that subscribe button so maybe someday I can just have it like that. Captain Kuro 3. He continues to get new support. He does get new support in this set. Every single one of the green cards released are East Blue type because it is based in like the East Blue Straw Hat era. So Kuro actually does get a decent amount of support in this set, technically. I'll also put Arlong. I think Arlong, anytime a yellow card is released, Arlong gets just a little bit better. So I think he has that argument there. Nami, I'll put Nami in tier 1. If you're Adam Cisneros, Nami is tier 1. I will say this, actually. I'm going to go 1.5 because this has a lot of aggro and going wide aspects, which is decent into Nami. So because of that, I think Nami is slightly less good. But I think it's still tier 1 if you're Adam Cisneros. I think overall, though, bar for bar, it's tier 1.5. Then we got Iceberg, tier 3. Remember when we were worried about this leader? OG Lucci, I'm going to go tier 3 as well. Black, Yellow, Linlin. Again, none of these cards have really had any support. None of these leaders have had any showings. But I think, respectfully, most leaders in this game aren't, like, bad. There are definitely some bad leaders. Katakuri. I lost to Katakuri. So it might be tier 1.5. Because I lost to this guy. Triple Tenmom is still pretty good. Still on the menu, still pretty good. VV, I'm going to put VV at tier 2. I think like the aggro and the card value, which is like the basic card fundamentals, is outvaluing your opponents and holding more value. I think in that right, VV is tier 2. Same thing with green purple Dofi. It's crazy how the disparity between these two leaders with their abilities can be, because they both get back to Dawn. It's just how they go about doing it. So, but I think this leader, somebody took it to Worlds. I think it's one of those things, these are kind of like slept on, but it just takes too much dedication to solve on your own. And there just hasn't been anything groundbreaking, but he did just get a whole boost, a whole suite of cards for the purple side in OP10, so I think he's pretty good overall. Isho, I hate to put Isho here. I think this leader has the most potential too. Green black, just overall, I think it's just overtuned just because they know what this combination can do, and the fact you get minus, you have a static minus ability for 1 Dawn. A lot of potential here. All right, for Cross, I'm going to put Rebecca 1.5, okay? Rebecca topped. I don't see it being, much worse with this guy, but maybe it is. Maybe it's tier 2. But I got to put respect on Cross's name, If you told me Rebecca was going to top 32, I don't know if I would have believed you. Queen goes here. I don't like Queen. But I think Queen is still, Queen is still decent. I think it's tier 2. I think it has one of the better effects because Queen just makes you think you're winning and then suddenly you're losing. Purple Lakers Croc. Lakers Croc is tier 3. I think Lakers Croc overall is really good. Sabo, I'm gonna put tier 3 as well. This is almost like YouTube bait. This card, it's getting more support, thankfully, because OP12. So there's new cards. I don't know how they'll work with him per se, but there's a Karasu, which you would definitely just play in this deck. I think this card is overall pretty, I'm a fan of this. I think it has the potential, not when you're in a remove heavy meta, I think he really goes to distance. Bello Betty, I'm put Bello Betty 1.5. If you just trigger for bodies that don't require discards, I think you just win. Rosinante. I think it's YouTube bait. I'm going to put it as YouTube bait because I think there's a great video to be had here. I think there's already the Fishman combo. I think I want to do something with Zoro Sanji. I want a Zoro Sanji on 9. I think that'd just be so funny and they just win. So I think there's something there. So I'm just going to put this here for that. Sagazuki is banned if your opponent plays him. Just call judge. Purple Luffy. I'm going to put Purple Luffy 1.5. I'm going to put Purple Luffy 1.5 just because I think this leader does what Luffy wants to do better. And I think he still shows up. I think he's like top end of this. Top end of this. I think he's bar for bar. Like, this card is incredible. Like, I think it's the lowest in tier 1. I think it's the best in, like, 1.5. I think it just kind of gets outvalued by this version. And that's the only reason I put it in 1.5. Enel, I'm also going to put him in 1.5. Enel is, like, top end of 1.5. Without Rygo, it's a lot worse. But this leader right here doesn't play any top end. So because of that, I think it creates a unique opportunity for Enel, because Rygo allowed him to remove high-cost characters for low cost for him. With the introduction of Gerpel Luffy, I think it gets us just a little bit better there. I'm going to put this at tier 2, red-purple, because I feel like these are just like underrated overall. I think they're decent. Like, you could lose to one of these at locals, is like what this is. You can lose to this at locals. Ramp Uda into 10-drop Shanks and whatnot, I think can be nasty. Hody Jones. Hody Jones. Hody Bones. Who said that? This leader, the worst card in this deck is him. Worst card in this deck is him. So I'm going to give him tier 2. Because I think, like, all his cards are good. Just the way that he interacts with them, I think is just really weird. Perona. Perona also tier 2. I think Perona, you know, we can cope. I think this is like, you know, this is like, you can see Perona at your locals. You can see Uda at your locals. You can see Dofi at your locals. And you could lose to him. Yamato, I think Yamato's higher end of tier 2. Yamato is a incredibly powerful card. Incredibly powerful leader. If you get bricked up, you just lose. So, punishes clunky decks and decks that don't play blockers. Reiju, I'm going to go 1.5. I think, like, these two are just because this deck can stay low, which takes away value from, like, Reiju's cards. So, I arguably tier 2, but I think just because, like, the landscape, there is the possibility. We are going into, like, so we're going into unique format, right? Like, this leader kind of dominated once he was released, and then we had impact on this one, on Lucci, on a number of leaders. And so it's really interesting. So, like, I'm like almost hesitant to put things in like tier 1 because it's like quite unique. Like, I think Luffy can go here. I don't think Reiju can go there, but I think like Luffy can go here. I think Zoro can go here because these leaders are like what I would consider like tier 1 right now. The only difference is the addition of this card and then a couple other cards. Like Zoro gets a card, Vegapunk gets a card, Gecko Moria. I'm gonna put Gecko Moria also here. But, like, if I put Gecko here, I feel like this should be up 1. But I think Gecko's, like, near the bottom of this. But I don't think Gecko is doing what Dofi wants to do still. But he has, like you know, you can take away value from your opponent and you can remove bodies with your bodies. So I really like Gecko. I think Gecko can have his moments. Dragon, I'm going to go tier 3. I like the Luffy better. You can play Karasu, but I still don't think Karasu sticks around here. I'm going to put Bonnie at 1, which is crazy, but I think this kind of enables it. And maybe I'm incorrect on this matchup. But I think, like, the green versus green battle, she gets to play Eustace Captain Kidd, which defines green, and he is technically a green deck. So I think that Eustace Captain Kidd is value. People have previously played cards like Gamma Knife in this, potentially to answer that, and other bodies. So I think in the terms of like green versus green, Bonnie really has like that, like with the advantage of Eustace Kidd. And I think that is relevant. Like, you're a 6K leader, okay, but now I'm an 8. And I play Hody Jones. So I can rest your Gum Gum Giant Don. I can rest your blocker. And I think on that merit, it gives her just a little bit more power because she hasn't been showing up a lot this meta. But I think it creates an opportunity depending on playability and showing of this Luffy. Boa, I'm going to go Boa 1.5. Boa, I think, still has some of the best removal. It is cost-based, which I think Luffy thrives on, but everything else I think is still pretty good, and I think Boa is really strong. I'm going to put my man Foxy here. I'm actually a huge Foxy guy. I thought he was one of the funnier characters when I watched One Piece. I think he's tier 2. I think he's still decent. I honestly, like, I think in a perfect bracket, he shows up, right? Like, perfect bracket, he shows up. He can freeze your characters. He can give you minus, things like that. Lucci, I'm going to put Lucci tier 1. I think Lucci gets a little bit better with the arrival of this guy, even though, because Lucci is showing up right now in Asia, knee deep in OP11 where he wasn't showing at all, and they're playing like Dressrosa builds. There are like a ton of Dressrosa cards in Lucci right now that I'm seeing, and he's just showing up more. I think this leader also enables him to, because it's all low cost, which makes it easier for him to remove without that Ice Age. So I still think he holds one. I think he's slightly better still than Smoker. I'll give Vegapunk 1.5. I give Vegapunk 1.5. Vegapunk, it's a very nice card. I don't think the deck overall is bad, but I think it's really good. I think, like, you know, I think he's tier 2, 1.5. Maybe tier 2. Maybe top end tier 2. Chopper, I'm going to go tier 2. He does get new support. I'll go YouTube bait. Chopper does get new support, but I still just don't know that it's enough. Marco, I'm going to put Marco 1.5. Marco removal isn't based on cost, but Marco loses to aggro, and the aggro potential of the green-purple Luffy is huge. You can, if they don't have stage, it's very easy to control the board. If they have stage, it becomes a whole lot harder, because once you get to your Newgate's going to remove anybody. You go Newgate, Rayleigh, and you can remove, you just keep board clean, keep yourself safe, but they do have that Rusher, and that Rusher can swing twice. So I'm going to go Marco 1.5. Carrot, I'm going to throw Carrot at 2. I think this leader has good cards. The green cards are really fair. Being able to freeze costs, but I think, again, like, this is the only addition. And if they don't have stage, I think this leader is really good into this. If not, it's not. Like, you know, you can rest, freeze. That's kind of what the whole Minx thing does. King, I'll also put King in tier 2. I think this leader has the most potential. Pudding, I also think Pudding has an insane amount of potential. You get to play for turn 4 Lin, which is a turn early, and against like a 4-life leader, you know, and all these other things. If it pops off, it pops off, but I think it's just not consistent enough across the board. Calgara, sorry, Orange. We're going to go 3. We're going to go 4. We're going to go YouTube bait. Shanks, I'm still going to put Shanks at tier 1. Shanks can stay healthy. Shanks can remove bodies on cost. And he still showed up in Asia. A lot of other decks are a little bit weaker. I think, you know, Shanks has his merits. Shanks has his potential. But it's arguably 1.5. Lim, I'm going to put Lim 1.5. Lim is a really good deck. On a low day, Lim just does a lot. And I think that's completely overlooked. And we're kind of like, we're already doing strategies that we just haven't seen before with Lim. No new cards, but decent, right? Like, nothing added in EB02, but I think this leader just overall is really strong. Then we got Buggy. I'm going to go Buggy tier 2. Buggy, maybe with the promo, could be big, but, like, obviously we're all hoping for these structure decks in June to change Buggy around. I'm going to go Luffy without Gecko. I'm going to have to go tier 3. Blue or purple, black without it. I have to go here. 2, I think, again, you know, really strong ability on Nico Robin. Z ha 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 ha. I'm going to put him at 1.5. I think just, again, you know, we got this double swinger, so I can play him and swing twice on that turn, so I get my leader swing and those, and I can really make them count, and you can just start spamming those and just put a ton of pressure on Teach in ways he just can't handle. Plus, you have the cost boost, which can protect them from events such as like I bid 5 or 500 billion, which people are playing right now, and then things like Finger Pistol. Smoker, I'll keep Smoker 1.5 too. I think Smoker overall hasn't really shown up. You do have that green factor of Eustace, Captain Kidd, and then 7K blockers, things like that. So we might even see Smoker show up a little bit more. But right now, everybody's playing for outs for Eustace. I think, you know, 1.5, maybe even tier 2. Caesar Clown. I'm sorry, buddy. I feel like I wish we got a Gangster Gastino leader. But I think his effect is really cool. I just think there's not enough cards to really support him right now. Sugar. I'll put Sugar tier 2. I think Sugar kind of shows up sometimes. Same thing with Law. I think these both kind of show up, like maybe once or twice in like a flagship. From my memory, it feels so long ago because all I've been is blue-purple Luffy and green-purple Luffy. Usopp. I think if Rebecca's here, Usopp's got to be here. I think Usopp is bar for bar better than Rebecca, but a 4-life leader against an incredibly aggressive leader is a little bit worse. So maybe Usopp kind of falls out, and he's just uniquely good here. But I think he had a couple moments like 3-on-3s, things like that. P-Kid. I'm gonna put P-Kid at tier 2. I'm going to put P-Kid at tier 2. He does have cards of trash, which I think are pretty good. But I think he just doesn't have what it takes to be relevant in this. Like, I just don't know that he shows up a lot. I don't know how a lot of people are going to continue to play him. But then again, you know, you got this aggression. You do have removal, but the removal is cost-based, and he does get to increase his costs. Sad to say, Uda, sorry. This one. We're just going to kind of speed through a lot of these unless they're, like, meaningful. I think Kaido's actually, like, tier 3. Shanks. Sakazuki. Because there are a couple in here that I think matter, but there's a lot that are, like, just kind of there. He's banned, so just call Judge. All right, we got Red Purple Luffy. I'm going to put it at 1.5. You have to kind of, like, go incredibly fast with this leader and just try your best. Like, he's a 6k, you're a 3, but like you can chain. You also have the ability of Giant. I think Giant goes a long way. This Eustace, he actually gets support here in this as well. I'm going to put him at tier 2. Yeah, it's either this one or OP11, but I think it's this set, EB02, that he's going to get support. So Extra Booster 2, he gets new cards, or it's OP11, but I'm pretty sure it's this one. Uda, I'm going to put Uda 1.5, arguably 1. With Uda, you, of course, get the ability of, once again, Eustace Captain Kid. I'm going to put this at 1.5 too. You get Vivi, and then you can do a bunch of swings, almost in a similar manner as this guy, and you can just regenerate value. And then you have that Zoro too, the new Zoro, and that's actually relevant support for this. I think that if somebody commits the time, I think that you could lose this deck at locals, no question. With Lucci and things, like whenever a deck can remove everybody, the only way you like beat this deck is if you can keep his board clear. If he can't get value because they don't have rushers, it's a lot harder, which is kind of like what that new Zoro does, is it is a rusher. Kind of. So you can use it and commit 2 swings or restand him and get a card back like a Vivi. So big on this guy. I think tier 2 on Sabo. I think tier 2 on this Ace. You guys know I don't recognize this leader. This leader is dead. I think this one's like 1.52. I think it's a little bit better. Maybe he's tier 2 right now. I think it's a little bit better with OP11. There are a couple of cards. But I'm actually incredibly optimistic on this leader because he's a 6k leader. These are both 6k leaders. This one just gets to stay at 5 life versus this one's 4 life. And then you get to play removal cards. So this leader also, the Structure Deck 21 Luffy, I think it's tier 2. I think this leader overall is really cool. I'm a big fan of this leader. He's incredibly fun. I think he has potential. And then, yeah, that is everybody. So, let me know what you guys think. What do you think is going to be the best deck? And let me know what you are going to be playing. And then finally, once again, if you're not already subscribed, check C. Hit that subscribe button. Do me a favor. Click it. It helps me out a lot. And I will see you all in the next one.